Now, my last video, the spooky swing set, gave me something to talk about, but realistically, the odds of me catching another weird phenomenon on camera was 1 in a billion. I mean, I've seen so many weird things, and I can honestly say that this is the only one I've been able to capture on anything. And that was only because we'd been sitting there for like 2 minutes watching the swing go back and forth before I was like, hey, I'm gonna grab out my phone. But this one is a little different from that video. I kind of want to talk about an experience that happened to me that I think is really important to talk about. So, a couple of years ago, my spouse and I decided that we were going to try to get pregnant, and a few months later we did, and it was exciting and happy. But then I didn't have any symptoms, and I think this is important. Everything I say here is important. But I didn't have any symptoms. Some people might, but I didn't. And every day I'd read about things that I should be experiencing, and every week, and nothing. There was no discomfort or nausea. And that's when I started getting worried. And when you read things online, of course you start to get a little paranoid, so I just told myself everything's fine. Then one day at work I got really bad stomach pain, and I thought that it was, a poop pain. But unfortunately it didn't go away. It took a while. And then I had this weird pressure pain in my butthole. Also important to know. And that pain lasted 2 weeks until one night that shit pain was so unbearable that I was vomiting. And then my spouse was rubbing my lower back trying to make that feel better, and then that started to go away. But then my shoulder started to hurt really badly, equally as badly. Very important to know. Because if I hadn't said that at the hospital, they wouldn't have known exactly what was going on. So I had really bad shoulder pain, and my spouse rubbed my shoulder. But then I got really bad side pain as that subsided. It just seemed like it was one pain replaced with another pain. And then as I'm lying in bed, feeling like I'm dying, I hear this little guy. And he says, "Concentrate. Feel the force flowing." Now, at the time I didn't think anything of it, because I felt like I was dying, and literally I could have been. When I went to the hospital, they had informed me that I had an ectopic pregnancy, and that my fallopian tube had ruptured. Not seriously ruptured, but there was internal bleeding. They gave me methotrexate and to dissolve the pregnancy, but unfortunately for me that didn't work. So for 2 weeks I heard this guy about 5 times saying the same line over and over and over again. And then finally one night I started feeling the pain from the first time I'd gone to the hospital. Didn't start as bad, so I was just like, I'm not taking any chances, I'm going to the hospital. And I had my fallopian tube partially removed because of that. Now it's important because maybe if I had known some of the symptoms earlier, I could have prevented a lot of that from happening. Now I do feel like someone was watching over me, which is lucky for me. After the last time that he talked, after I had my surgery, we didn't hear him for a long time. Until I thought I was pregnant. And then he spoke, and then I started freaking out because it was the same line. And then this thing, which is a glow stick, started glowing for no reason, so I thought I was pregnant. I wasn't. I don't know why he was talking. Maybe he was being like, it's gonna happen eventually, it's gonna happen eventually. For 2 years we've been trying for that to happen. And 2 years it was heartbreak. And then one day in March 2023, last March, he talked, and I was like, okay, whatever, like there must be something wrong with him, because nothing seemed to be wrong. My stepdaughter had an ear infection, but it wasn't like she was dying. And then a few weeks later, maybe a month later, I found out that I was pregnant. Now I do want to have a video about all the unexpected things that have come with that bundle of joy, and I know it will be a bundle of joy. But there's a lot of things, again, nobody talks about, and probably because people would never have a child. So my spouse was watching the video, and he had pointed out that I had no context on talking Yoda, and I'm not crazy. He actually does talk when you push his hand.
For 800 years have I trained Jedi. Do or do not. There is no try.
He just talked by himself one night. I'm not hearing voices coming from the doll.
Feel the force flow.
That's the line. Remember to
Concentrate. Feel the force flow. Yeah.